Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, welcome. My name is Lanice and I do these cool little nursing videos. If you are not new here, thank you for tuning in to another one of my videos. It is greatly appreciated and you already know what I'm gonna say. Thank you for tuning in to another one of my videos because you could be anywhere in the world, baby, but you are here with me and that is greatly appreciated. All right, so as you guys can see, I'm a little comfy because we're gonna go ahead and start Vlogmas today. And I figure for Vlogmas, we're gonna be comfortable, okay? So I'm sitting on my beanbag chair right now. I got my red on for Vlogmas and I got my little French hat. I forgot what these things are called, but I'm feeling a little French right now, the French vibe, the oui, bonjour, you know, that's how I'm feeling today. Today for Vlogmas, we are actually going to just start with a regular video. And we're going to talk about nursing specialties because I know that right now there are a lot of nurses that are actually getting ready to graduate. It's December, so graduation is coming around for all those winter graduates. And I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so excited for you guys. So today we will talk about specialties because I know that a lot of y'all are out there like either some of y'all really know what y'all want to do or a lot of y'all are like me and y'all didn't even know y'all were going to make it out of nursing school. And you're probably feeling like, I don't know what I want to do next. Just give me a job. So we'll just talk about a few nursing specialties. Just make sure you guys are aware because there are a lot of them out there. Okay, let me get my camera right before we get started. First specialty that we will talk about today is critical care nursing. A lot of nurses who decide to go into critical care, they like to go into the ICU or even the step down units. And these are the nurses that are usually typically type A people. Now, I will say that ICU nurses do have a reputation for being sticklers. They do have a reputation for being arrogant sometimes too, but I will say that the ICU nurses do tend to be the most to know about the body and how it functions, because they are dealing with patients that are in the most critical of conditions. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and start with them because ICU nurses typically think that they're the top of the line. We'll give them that credit right now. We'll be nice and we'll mention ICU nursing first. That is the first specialty. The second specialty that I want to talk to you guys about is what I do, med-surg nursing. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was in nursing school, I definitely did not know I wanted to be a med-surg nurse, but I joined the med-surg residency as a new grad RN and I haven't left since. I will say that med-surg nursing is not for everybody. I typically have 6 patients on a normal day. On a good day, I'll have 5. And it is a lot of time management. It is a lot of treatments, a lot of just knocking tasks off a list, and a lot of critical thinking also, because in med-surg, you do have patients that eventually need to be transferred to ICU or should have started off on a step down unit, came off of an ICU unit or a step down unit too quickly, too soon, and they make it to you, and you have to be able to think quick and think critically whenever that person is starting to crash and get them the help that they need. So that is number 2, med-surg nursing. Next, we'll talk about operating room nursing. Now, I have worked at a surgery center and we did have an operating room and a procedure room, and I did get to see a small portion of what it was like being in an operating room, and I really did like it. I won't lie. But we didn't do very invasive procedures, nor did we do very long surgery, so I didn't really get that operating room feel. But operating room nurses, they actually do tend to make fairly well because they're on call a lot, and they also get paid. They get paid a little differently than a lot of regular nurses that work for the hospitals. They also have very odd schedules. I know I was on an interview for an operating room nurse, and the schedule they were looking to fill was from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., which if that works for you, then I say go for it. Operating room nurses, they tend to make bank sometimes. So that'll be number 3. That'll be the third specialty, operating room nurses. The fourth specialty I will have to tell you guys about is emergency room nurses. Now, I don't ever want to get into a battle between an ICU nurse and an emergency room nurse, because baby, they will go toe to toe on which one is more important. Because in order for somebody to get admitted into the hospital, they have to come through the emergency room. So as an emergency room nurse, not only do you have to be able to think quickly, think critically, and have a strong gut, you can't have a weak stomach as an emergency room nurse. You have to be able to see a span of things, whereas ICU and med-surg, they tend to focus on one specialty, whether it's cardiac, neuro, nephrology, nephro. They focus on a certain specialty. ED nurses see it all, from the span of neuro, cardiac, gunshot wounds, skin burns, anything that you want to see. An emergency room nurse is going to see it. A common cold. You know, you have to remember that everyone comes into the emergency room prior to being admitted to the hospital. Even those that don't get admitted to the hospital come to the emergency room. So simple colds, broken bones, all sorts of things. You will see that as an emergency room nurse. So that will be the fourth specialty that I want to talk to you guys about today, emergency room nursing. Number 5 would be case management. I know that this is not one that you hear about a lot whenever you're in nursing school, because they don't give you, well, honestly, when I was in nursing school, I believe I did go on a case management clinical. Whenever I was in doing my hospice clinical, I rode with a nurse case manager that worked for hospice. But case management is not one that you hear a lot about in nursing school, because typically case managers tend to be social workers. However, nowadays there are a lot of case manager jobs for registered nurses, and quiet as it's kept, they tend to be remote jobs, so you get to work from home. Don't tell nobody I told you that secret. However, I recently was offered a position as a case manager role, going from home to home for home health and managing home health cases. So there are a lot of jobs out there for nurse case managers. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into 5. And 5 is for all of you guys that are just big kids out there and like working with children. 5 will be pediatric nursing. Now, don't get me wrong, this is definitely not for me, because when you're dealing with the peds, you're dealing with the parents too. So you get 2 P's, the peds and the parents, and that ain't for me. But for y'all nurses who like dealing with children, they have pediatric nursing just for you guys. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the kids. Niecy love the kids, but baby, when it comes to having to deal with the sick kids, it's just not for me. But number 5 would be pediatric nursing. Number 6 would be for all of those crazies out there, because you have to be a little crazy to deal with psych patients, okay? And 6 will be psychiatric nursing. Now, let me tell you, I've never met a psych nurse that didn't love psych. When a psych nurse gets a job, they normally stay there for a long time. And this is speaking from experience, because my mom was a psych nurse and she is now a psych nurse practitioner, and she loves it. She ain't going anywhere. And I will say that every time I work on the psych floor as a float nurse, those psych nurses, they love it. They would not go to med-surg. They would not go to ICU. They would not go to the emergency room. They would not go to the OR. They love psych nursing, okay? Now, if you have a soft spot for the elderly, then this one is probably for you. Geriatric nursing. Those nurses who work in long-term care or even rehab centers, they tend to love dealing with the old folks, and they will work as a geriatric nurse or even further their education and work as a geriatric nurse practitioner. As an LPN, I worked in long-term care for quite some time, and I did enjoy getting advice from the little old ladies, and I did enjoy working in long-term care, but it's just a lot of work, I'll say that. Not because of the patients are elderly, but because of the workload. So I did find out in a very short period of time that geriatric nursing is not something that I wanted to do for a long time. But if you have a sweet spot for the old folks and you don't mind taking 18 or 19 residents on a good day, then I say go for long-term care. Now, there are other ways to work as geriatric nurses, but that is the most prevalent one nowadays, is working at a long-term care facility. Now, if you do not mind being sad, seeing a lot of hospice, or even seeing a lot of death, then working on the oncology unit as an oncology nurse might be for you. Now, I hear people who have tried oncology and they have such a soft spot for people that oncology is not for them. But then I meet a lot of people who have such a soft spot for people that they love oncology, and they are able to not get attached to their patients. So whichever, if that is you, then I would suggest oncology nursing. That is also another specialty. Not quite sure why this didn't make the top of the list, because I know those labor and delivery nurses out there are like, why aren't we're the type of nurses that everybody goes to nursing school to want to be. I cannot tell you how many nurses go to nursing school just because they believe they want to be L&D nurses. Some of them make it there, but you got to be the top of the top of the top to get in the L&D, baby, okay, and to really make it. But we'll go ahead and get into it. L&D nurses. This is one of the most highest paying travel nurse specialties. This is also one of the most popular nursing specialties. Once the labor and delivery, those nurses, I said this about psych nurses, but I really mean it about labor and delivery nurses. Once they get their foot in the door, they don't leave. They love it. They stay for years. And that's part of the reason why it's so hard getting an L&D job nowadays, because people love it so much. Now, we can also break labor and delivery down and pediatric nursing down to neonatal nursing. So if you are into little tiny babies and you also want to get into critical care, there's neonatal ICU nursing. And then we will move into rehabilitation nursing. Now, if you like rehab, you like watching people go from not being able to walk to learning how to walk and talk and rehab again, rehab nursing is also a very popular specialty nowadays. Now, I'm sorry to all the clinic nurses out there. I'm sorry to mention you so late, but ambulatory care nursing, that's also a specialty. If you want to work Monday through Friday, no holidays, no weekends, you better get yourself into a doctor's office, into an ambulatory care office. So that is also a specialty to consider. Now, last on my list, we will talk about flight nurses. Now, this is a job that you very seldomly hear about, because you have to be a certain height, a certain weight, have a certain amount of experience in the ICU to become a flight nurse. But baby, those flight nurses, they get a lot of excitement, okay? So those are the nursing specialties that I wanted to tell you guys about today. And thank you for tuning in to day one of my Vlogmas experience. And I hope you guys have a happy holiday. Well, that wasn't good. That was a terrible joke. But anyways, if you have made it to the end of this video, I didn't say this in the beginning, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification so you can be notified for whenever I post more content. And I hope you guys tune into some more of my other videos. Check out my vlogs. They're actually very entertaining. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 2. Peace.